My wife left for a month-long trial with her lover, saying she'd choose between us after. But I made it simple by filing for divorce. I, 34, never expected my marriage to collapse so suddenly. My wife and I had been together 7 years, married for 3. We lived in a modest house on a friendly suburban street, near neighbors we'd occasionally chat with. One neighbor's son, though, was a bit younger, more energetic, and apparently caught my wife's attention. At first, I noticed them talking in the yard or out on the driveway, but I brushed it off. She was friendly by nature. Little did I know it was more than friendly small talk. It all came to a head one Saturday morning. She sat me down, looking tense, and admitted she was developing feelings for our neighbor's son. It was a shock. She apologized, said it was confusing, that she was torn between 2 worlds. My heart pounded. I asked if she was ending our marriage. She sighed. No, not necessarily. I need time to figure out if I want him or if I want us. My jaw dropped at the arrogance. She wanted me on standby while she tested the waters with this neighbor's son. I found the concept horrifying, but she insisted. I want a 1-month trial away with him. I'll come back with a decision. A swirl of emotions hit me. Anger, betrayal, disbelief. Who does that? I told her how absurd it was, but she stood firm. Either I go see if there's something real with him, or I might resent you forever for holding me back. She framed it like it was some saintly compromise to keep me in the running. My mind reeled, but I couldn't force her to stay. If she'd already drifted, maybe it was best to see her true colors. So I said, fine, do what you need. Underneath, I was seething, humiliated by her sense of entitlement to test drive her fling. She packed hastily, leaving me alone in our quiet house. The emptiness felt surreal. I tried distracting myself, extra hours at work, gym sessions. Friends invited me out, but I was too consumed by the reality that my wife left for another man's arms. She'd promised to return with an answer. The entire concept rankled me. This wasn't a game show where I was competing. If she truly loved me, she wouldn't gamble our marriage on a fling. Days passed, turning into weeks. I heard rumors from neighbors that she was seen with him in town, looking all loved up. The knowledge stabbed my pride. Meanwhile, some mutual acquaintances wondered why I tolerated it. My father offered calm advice. If she values you, she won't need a month to figure it out. You have a choice too, don't forget that. He was right. I wasn't powerless. I could walk away. Eventually, the anger hardened into resolve. Midway through her month, I visited a divorce attorney. I explained the situation. The attorney said I was well within my rights to initiate proceedings, especially if the marriage was irretrievably broken. He walked me through the steps. I left feeling a strange mixture of sadness and relief. Maybe it was time I took control instead of waiting for her to decide my fate. My father's words echoed in my head. You have a choice too. So I chose to file for divorce. I refused to be her fallback plan if her fling didn't work out. That same day, I moved some personal funds into a separate account to protect myself in case she got vindictive. Then I began sorting through belongings in the house, deciding what was mine and what was communal. The process felt surreal, like I was dismantling the life we'd built, but the memory of her smug announcement about testing the waters fueled me forward. I told no one except close family about my decision initially. A few days later, the doorbell rang. I opened it to see my wife's friend, who'd apparently heard from her that she'd gone off with the neighbor's son. This friend had come to mediate. She claimed my wife was only searching for clarity and I should be patient. I shook my head. She left me for another man. That's not clarity. That's betrayal. The friend tried guilting me. You'll regret acting in haste. I responded calmly. I'm not the one who walked out. She can't have her cake and eat it too. The friend left, disheartened, but I stood my ground. Time crawled. I half expected my wife to call daily with updates, but she rarely reached out. Maybe she was having a grand time with the neighbor's son. Maybe she was too ashamed. Finally, near the end of her month, she texted, "Let's talk when I'm back. I'm almost ready to decide." Her audacity made me bark a humorless laugh. She truly believed it was up to her alone. She returned precisely 4 weeks after leaving, breezing into our living room like it was normal. She said, "I've thought a lot. I do care about you. So let's figure out how to fix this. I'm leaning towards working on our marriage." Leaning towards. The arrogance. I quietly listened, letting her believe she held all the cards. She explained how the neighbor's son was fun but immature, not quite the stable partner she'd hoped for. Then she tried to wrap her arms around me, offering a half-hearted apology. My stomach twisted at her casual approach. That's when I dropped the bomb. I filed for divorce. Her face froze in shock. You what? She stammered. I repeated calmly, I won't be the second choice. I'm taking control. I'm done waiting for your verdict. Rage flashed across her features. You can't do that, she spat. This is our marriage. I shrugged. You bailed on it the second you moved in with him. I deserve better. She demanded I retract the filing, insisting it was a rash decision. I refused, telling her I'd had weeks to think about it. She tried manipulative tears, claiming she was confused, that she only wanted to test the neighbor's bond. I found that logic twisted. You test drive a car, not a spouse, I said. Marriage isn't a temporary lease you can toss aside and retrieve at will. My words hung in the air. She realized I was serious. My wife stormed off that day, furious I'd undermined her plan to waltz back on her own terms. She railed about how I was destroying our future, and that she never truly wanted to leave me. I reminded her that's exactly what she did. She threatened to fight me tooth and nail in the divorce, claiming she'd take half of everything. I stayed calm, letting her vent. After she left, I contacted my lawyer, updated him on the meltdown. He assured me we had a strong case, especially given her open affair. She might still walk away with a share, but not as big as she threatened. In the weeks that followed, she changed tactics. She told mutual friends I'd abandoned her for no reason, painting me as cold-hearted. I set the record straight with the close friends who cared to ask. Others believed her or stayed neutral. Meanwhile, the neighbor's son apparently wanted nothing more to do with her, leaving her flailing for sympathy. She showed up at my father's house, tearful, trying to guilt him into swaying me. He politely asked her to leave, saying, "My son's an adult, and he's made his choice." Eventually, negotiations for the divorce began. My lawyer and hers hammered out property division. We had no kids, so that was simpler. She demanded spousal support, citing how I'd built up assets while she contributed emotionally. I nearly laughed at the irony. She contributed by walking out? The lawyers wrangled back and forth, but in the end, we struck a settlement that was fair, if not perfect. She got some money, but nowhere near half. I kept the house, which I'd bought before the marriage, and some savings. The timeline and evidence of her leaving for another man definitely influenced the negotiations. As the final hearing approached, she tried a last-minute sob story, texting me about the good times and how we could salvage this. I'd be lying if I said I felt nothing. Memories of happier days flickered in my mind. But the image of her packing her bags for that neighbor overshadowed everything else. I responded once, politely but firmly, "You made your choice. I'm following through with mine." She never texted me again. On the day of the final hearing, the judge confirmed our agreement. My wife looked tired and sad, maybe realizing her dream of picking between me and the neighbor's son had backfired. After the paperwork was signed, she stepped toward me in the hallway, eyes red. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted this." Her voice trembled as she added, "I was just confused, bored." I gave a small nod. "Confusion doesn't excuse your betrayal," I said. She reached as if to hug me, but I backed away. "Let's not make this more painful. We're done." She swallowed, tears welling, but accepted it. My chest felt heavy, but I walked out of that courthouse with a sense of finality. The aftermath was surprisingly calm. We parted ways with no further drama. People asked questions, but I kept it simple. She left for a month to test her feelings, found me ready with divorce papers when she returned. My father, though never one to say, "I told you so," gave me a knowing smile, proud that I'd stood my ground. The ex-wife moved in with some relatives, or so I heard. The neighbor's son swiftly moved on to another fling, leaving her in the dust. Quite the love triangle fiasco that ended poorly for her. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of her around town, a shadow of guilt crossing her face as she avoids eye contact. No more demands or pleas for reconciliation. I suspect she's exhausted her attempts. Perhaps she finally grasps that you don't get to treat a spouse like an option. Some mutual acquaintances told me she regrets everything deeply, but regrets can't fix what she destroyed. I hold no illusions about second chances. Strangely, I don't feel triumphant, more like relieved. Freed from a partner capable of discarding me like an old toy while she tested a fling. Freed from the anxiety of waiting for her to choose. Freed from her mother's well-meaning but prying questions about grandchildren. Freed to rebuild my life on my own terms, with honesty and self-respect intact. In a sense, her month-long trial was a blessing. I saw her true colors. If she was bored enough to experiment with another man, it's better we parted ways before kids or deeper entanglements. The divorce settlement was almost fair, as the lawyers put it. Good enough for me to move forward, not feeling like I lost everything. She got some assets, but not enough to cripple me financially. I got closure. My father says I might find someone more genuine in the future, someone who won't treat me as second best. For now, I'm content. I'll focus on my career, my hobbies, maybe travel a bit. The quiet in my house feels peaceful, rather than lonely. Some nights, I reflect on how swiftly a marriage can unravel once the trust shatters. A single statement, "I'm leaving for a month to see if I prefer the neighbor," was all it took to demolish the bond we had. Would I ever speak to her again? Possibly polite nods if we cross paths. But the old relationship is gone, replaced by a curt finality. And that's the price she pays for flipping my life upside down, thinking she'd return with a triumphant, "I choose you." I turned her game around, letting her find out the hard way that I'm nobody's second choice.